I caught my wife in the act of cheating, and as a result, I took deliberate steps to dismantle her presence on social media and formally initiated our divorce proceedings. Hello everyone, I'm a 28-year-old man, and about 3 weeks ago, I made a devastating discovery. My wife of just under a year, Bianca, who is 27, had been unfaithful to me. When Bianca and I first began our relationship, she had confided in me that she had recently ended a 3-year relationship with her ex-boyfriend and was now single. At that time, I was also single, having taken a 2-year hiatus from dating to recover from the emotional scars left by my previous relationship. Both of us had endured hurt in our past relationships, which led us to vow that we would remain loyal and avoid any actions that could harm one another. I was confident that I would uphold my end of this promise and sincerely hoped that Bianca would do the same. We dated for over 2 years and decided to get married, during which time being with Bianca brought me more joy than any of my previous relationships. Bianca possessed a natural sense of humor and always knew how to make those around her smile. The initial months of our marriage were filled with laughter and enjoyment, and I eagerly anticipated spending time with her every day. Bianca worked as a social media influencer and ran her own online store, while I was employed as a data analyst at a prominent tech company in our town. I must admit that there were occasions when my job became so demanding that I couldn't spend as much time with Bianca as I had promised. Occasionally, I would miss our planned dates, sometimes twice a month, because I was either overwhelmed with work tasks or completely forgot about a scheduled event. Each time this happened, I tried to make it up to her by doing something thoughtful, like gifting her favorite chocolates, such as Snickers bars, which always brightened her day. 6 months into our marriage, my company granted me the opportunity to work remotely for 3 weeks out of the month, with the remaining week spent on site. This change was a relief because it allowed me to finally spend more quality time with Bianca, especially since her work as a social media influencer could be managed remotely. She was thrilled when I informed her about my new work schedule, and things began to return to the harmonious routine we had established. However, within the first 4 weeks of working remotely, I started to notice unusual behavior from Bianca. While I understood that her constant use of her phone was part of her job as an influencer, there was something more concerning. Whenever Bianca was on her phone and I approached her, she would quickly switch apps, moving from one to another, even when I wasn't directly beside her. Her body language and the way she moved her fingers hinted at something more than just her professional activities. Additionally, she became more secretive with her laptop, closing it and acting as if she wasn't using it whenever she heard my voice or sensed my approach. These changes happened so swiftly that Bianca had no idea I had been observing her closely. Eventually, I reached my breaking point and confronted Bianca about her strange behavior. She dismissed my concerns, insisting that I was being unreasonable and that she had nothing to hide from me. On that particular day, she was engaged in some activity on her laptop and even invited me to take a look to allay my suspicions. I did so, and everything appeared to be in order. She went as far as showing me her conversations on all her social media accounts, which she claimed were strictly work-related. This was the first time in the 2+ years we had been together that she had allowed me to read her chats. Although we had mutual access to each other's phones during our relationship, I had never gone through her conversations with her clients, respecting the confidentiality I believed was inherent in her work. Trusting her completely, I felt there was no reason to invade her privacy. However, her voluntary disclosure of these conversations felt out of character, as if she was trying to cover something up by showing me only what she wanted me to see. My instincts told me that something was amiss, and based on numerous stories I had read on Reddit, I couldn't shake the feeling that Bianca was hiding something significant from me. In the days that followed, I refrained from bringing up her secretive behavior with her phone and laptop again. Instead, I continued to observe her discreetly to ensure that my suspicions weren't unfounded before taking any further action. A few days after our confrontation, Bianca hosted a small gathering at our home, inviting several of her influencer friends. While we all enjoyed a pleasant evening together, Bianca seemed somewhat distracted. Even amidst the laughter and conversations, she kept texting someone during meal breaks. Her friends noticed her constant texting, and one of them eventually asked her who she was messaging so persistently. Feeling the weight of everyone's scrutiny, Bianca hastily placed her phone on the table, forced a smile, and claimed that the messages were work-related before abruptly ending the conversation. The rest of the evening passed without further incident. After our guests left and we began cleaning up, Bianca brought up the topic of a client she had been texting throughout the evening. She explained that this client wanted her to serve as his brand ambassador for a skincare product and promote it for an entire year. While such conversations are typical for someone in her line of work, it was unusual for us because Bianca had never previously discussed her clients or their specific requests with me. Typically, we maintain separate professional and personal lives, with her focusing on her social media endeavors and me on my data analysis work. Her sudden decision to share details about this client felt like an attempt to justify her earlier behavior before I could question her further. I chose not to respond immediately, instead offering a polite smile and pretending to engage in the conversation, even though a multitude of thoughts raced through my mind. I already suspected that her phone and laptop held no evidence of infidelity, but I devised a plan to listen in on her conversations. There was an app available that allowed someone to monitor another person's phone activities, listen to their conversations, and view their messages. To utilize this, I had to install the app on both my phone and Bianca's, enabling me to listen to her calls and see all her chat interactions. My eagerness to uncover the truth about Bianca's fidelity was heightened by my past experience of being cheated on, which left me hypervigilant for any signs of infidelity, even when there were none. I consciously scrutinized every detail, ensuring I didn't overlook any potential red flags as I had in my previous relationship. After successfully installing the monitoring app on both our phones, I began my investigation. Bianca continued to communicate with her clients, but there was someone else she interacted with daily. She was careful not to call or receive his calls when I was around or when we were together. 2 days after synchronizing our phones, Bianca initiated a conversation with this individual for the first time. Interestingly, I discovered that she had known him for years. He was the same ex-boyfriend she had claimed to have broken up with. Listening to their conversations for the first time revealed that this man was fully aware of Bianca's marriage to me. On the evening in question, Bianca sent me out to purchase groceries, claiming she had forgotten some items. While I was driving to the store, she had that crucial phone call. He inquired about me and she responded that I had gone to get groceries. She explained that she had pretended to forget the groceries on her way back so that I would leave the house and have ample time to talk on the phone. He advised her to be cautious so I wouldn't discover her actions, to which Bianca retorted that I would never abandon her because he loved her too much. They shared a laugh and continued discussing plans to meet later that evening. After meticulously listening to all of their conversations, I returned home feeling enraged. Upon my return, Bianca questioned why I hadn't purchased the groceries as I had claimed. I fabricated a story, telling her that I had received an urgent call from the office requiring me to submit some work immediately. She accepted my excuse, and by the time I arrived back home, she was already dressed up and had applied her makeup, telling me she was going out with some of her girlfriends and would return before midnight. She kissed me on the cheek, appearing genuine, and left promptly. As soon as she was gone, I contacted one of my friends and shared the incriminating evidence I had uncovered. He agreed to accompany me to the restaurant where Bianca and her boyfriend were scheduled to meet. Upon arriving at the restaurant, we saw Bianca intimately cuddling with her boyfriend, who was attempting to feed her. I approached her directly, making sure she saw me, and then left the restaurant abruptly. Everything happened so swiftly that Bianca's facial expression revealed her shock at seeing me there with my friend. She immediately stood up and followed me, initially trying to feign innocence. However, once she realized that my friend was recording her, she knew she had been caught red-handed. She attempted to justify her actions by claiming she was meeting with a client and that the situation wasn't as it appeared. I remained silent, and my friend and I drove back home together. Bianca arrived shortly after, entered the house, and tried to engage in conversation. I was focused on gathering my belongings, as we had jointly rented the apartment and I couldn't simply evict her. Instead, I took what I needed and left with my friend that evening. Since that night, Bianca has been relentlessly messaging and calling me. After weeks of ignoring her attempts to reach out, she resorted to sending voice notes filled with lies. She claimed that her ex-boyfriend wanted to connect her with a significant client, prompting her to meet him. She fabricated a story about feeling uncomfortable in a tiny strap gown he wore and suggested that he was trying to cover her. This was supposed to explain why they were seen cuddling together, and she believed I would accept this explanation. However, she remains unaware that I had installed the monitoring app on our phones, allowing me to continue viewing their conversations. Just 3 days ago, I made another alarming discovery. Bianca had been working on a lucrative contract for over 2 months, and her ex-boyfriend was one of the employees of the brand she was promoting. This revelation indicated that there was some truth to her fabricated story. Additionally, I found out that they had been publicly disparaging the company's products. It seemed their relationship had reignited when her ex-boyfriend re-entered her life. The troubling part is that Bianca was not supposed to have any involvement with the company's staff or be speaking ill of the products. If the organization learned about her actions, her contract would be terminated, and her public image would be severely damaged. Regarding the video my friend captured, I haven't posted it online as I initially intended because I have mixed feelings about taking that step. Over the years, Bianca had maintained an impeccable public image, and despite being targeted by some troublesome fans, she hadn't faced any serious issues with the brand she influenced. Currently, I am going through an intense emotional turmoil and feel the need to retaliate for how she betrayed me. My plan is to expose the conversations between Bianca and her boyfriend, along with the video of them together. I hope no one will advise me against this course of action because my decision is already firm. Often, I ponder why people choose to get married in the first place, considering that many women aren't deserving of the sacrifices men make for them. In Bianca's case, I believed we would start a family together, but it turned out she's just like many other women who want to enjoy the benefits of a relationship while still maintaining other interests. Update 1 ***. Hello everyone, I appreciate your comments and insights. It's disheartening to realize, through your feedback, that influencers tend to have high rates of infidelity. I married Bianca because she seemed like the perfect match, and I fell in love with her personality rather than her profession. We dated for nearly 3 years, and I took ample time to get to know her well before deciding to marry her. She had assured me that she had severed all ties with her ex-boyfriend and would never engage with him again, no matter the circumstances. Her assurances led me to believe her, and perhaps I was naive to trust her word so completely. My only solace is that I acted immediately once I began suspecting her infidelity. If I had chosen to give her the benefit of the doubt and remained a good husband, showering her with trust and support, I might still be stuck in this painful situation, innocently helping her choose the perfect outfits for her social gatherings. Instead, I decided on a path of revenge. I have now posted the video of Bianca and her ex-boyfriend at the restaurant, where they were clearly involved with each other. Her fans reacted negatively, labeling her a cheater. Additionally, I leaked the conversations between Bianca and her lover, where they were disparaging the brand she was promoting. The consequence of these actions was that the company she worked with terminated their contract with her, and her boyfriend was also fired. Furthermore, Bianca and her boyfriend had been speaking ill of a particular product she was endorsing, criticizing the company for selling subpar products. Bianca was forced to issue an online apology, retracting all her previous statements, and had to confront the fallout with the company. This not only ruined her reputation with the company that dismissed her but also caused a domino effect, leading other brands to sever ties with her as the scandal spread rapidly. As a result, Bianca found herself without any professional support or contracts. Headlines began featuring her name in connection with her infidelity, and it was immensely satisfying to see her face the consequences of her actions. When a friend called to verify the authenticity of what was circulating online, I confirmed its truthfulness. Before releasing the video and the conversations publicly, I also shared them with her parents, making it clear that Bianca and I were officially done. I didn't hesitate to speak ill of her, calling her disgraceful and tarnishing her reputation as a woman. Subsequently, I blocked both her and her ex-boyfriend's numbers to prevent any further communication. Just 2 days ago, Bianca showed up at my workplace and caused a disturbance. I informed security that I did not wish to see her, but she refused to leave the premises and was eventually removed from the building. Her behavior was justified given the circumstances. Since moving out of our shared home that evening, I haven't encountered her in person. The only way I've been keeping track of her is by following her activities on Facebook and Instagram, observing how her life has fallen apart due to my actions. Thank you all for your supportive suggestions and advice. I will provide another update soon. Update 2 ***. Hello everyone, I appreciate your comments and support. It's been a week and a few days since my last update, and I had hoped to wait until the divorce was finalized before sharing more. However, something significant happened yesterday that I feel compelled to share. Bianca discovered that I was the one who leaked her conversations and the incriminating video online. It's possible that her parents informed her, but I'm not entirely certain. When she came to my friend's house, where I was staying after leaving my apartment, she was furious. Bianca began yelling that I had destroyed her life and vowed to ruin mine in return. She hurled numerous hurtful remarks, including expressing regret over marrying me and claiming she didn't know what she saw in someone like me. Her outburst escalated to the point of violence. She picked up a large stone from my friend's lawn and threw it at the window where my friend was recording her. The stone cracked the window, causing my friend's phone to fall. As he hurried to retrieve it, I was overcome with anger and went outside to confront her. During our heated exchange, Bianca pulled out a small penknife and viciously slashed all 4 tires of my car right before my eyes. She then used the knife to scratch a long line from the front door to the back door, taunting me by saying, "Well, how do you like your new car?" She then left the scene. At that moment, my car was immobilized. I couldn't move it without changing all 4 tires, and the extensive scratch marks made it impossible to drive without significant repairs. My friend insisted that I take legal action against Bianca, as he had documented her actions inside the house. He was also planning to sue her for the window damage, and he was serious about it. I have decided to pursue legal action against Bianca to ensure she pays for the damages she caused. She will be held responsible for every penny required to replace the tires and repair the scratches on my car. Regarding her social media presence, Bianca has been notably silent lately. The backlash over her infidelity and negative comments about the brand she promoted has decreased, but she hasn't been active with her Instagram live videos, reels, or other content she used to regularly produce. Additionally, many of her followers have unfollowed her, primarily because of the leaked video. People who used to envy our marriage and admired the perfect image she portrayed online are now struggling to believe that she would engage in such deceit during our first year of marriage, which was supposed to be our honeymoon phase. What has transpired is beyond my control. I cannot tolerate infidelity, especially when it's done to maintain a facade of perfection for people I barely know. I will provide another update once everything has been resolved. Thank you all for your time and understanding. Update 3 ***. Hello everyone, I realize it's been some time since my last update, but I needed to wait until all legal matters were concluded before sharing more information. Thank you for your patience and continued support as I navigate the process of suing Bianca for the damages she inflicted upon me. I am thrilled to announce that everything unfolded exactly as I had hoped. My friend and I filed a lawsuit against Bianca for the damages she caused, and the court ruled in our favor. Can you believe Bianca attempted to deny that she had shattered my friend's window and slashed my car tires? She falsely accused me of jealousy, claiming that she had left me for her ex-boyfriend and that I had damaged my own tires to frame her. She couldn't even remember being recorded by my friend, and the evidence we presented, a video of her violent actions, was undeniable. We presented this video to the judge, who demanded to see it. Upon viewing the video, Bianca became visibly angry and failed to provide any credible defense. The judge asked for an estimate of the costs associated with replacing the tires and repairing the scratches on my car. I had followed your suggestions and calculated the total expenses, including labor costs, which I presented to her. The judge promptly ordered her to cover these expenses. On the same day, Bianca had another case with my friend. The judge did not allow her to lie or defend herself because the video clearly showed her being violent and throwing the stone at my friend's window. The court also ruled in favor of my friend, recognizing the validity of our claims. Bianca was livid with the outcome, and I found great satisfaction in seeing her angry expression. I had expected her ex-boyfriend to support her, but he was nowhere to be found. 2 weeks following the court ruling, the divorce papers were prepared, and my lawyer sent them to Bianca. She did not hesitate to sign them, and we finalized everything. Watching her play the victim in the situation she had orchestrated herself was almost amusing. I am now relieved to announce that Bianca is officially a part of my past. Unlike her, who went back on her word, I will never have anything to do with her again. I have blocked her on all mutual social media platforms. Moving on to the next story, I discovered that my wife was cheating and that my son wasn't biologically mine, so I sought revenge by exposing everything. I recently divorced my ex-wife, a 29-year-old woman, because she cheated on me and destroyed everything we had worked so hard to build together. I met my wife at a bar during a friend's birthday celebration. It wasn't a casual outing for relaxation, we attended the birthday party together, and she was only there with a friend who knew the person celebrating. We got along well, and I found her attractive. After the party, we exchanged contact information, and I offered to give her and her friend a ride home that night. From that moment on, we became close and began chatting regularly online. In the first few months of our friendship, we didn't see each other frequently because I was still involved with my ex-girlfriend, and my wife and I were just friends. However, after my ex-girlfriend ended our relationship, my wife and I grew closer and became inseparable. We ended up dating for over 2 years before getting married. The first year of our marriage was everything I had hoped for, beautiful and fulfilling. We both worked hard and made every effort to keep our relationship strong and vibrant. In the second year of our marriage, my wife had to stop working due to a complicated pregnancy. The complications were severe enough that I feared for the baby's survival, but fortunately, she gave birth to a healthy child. During the time she needed to rest, I worked tirelessly morning and night to ensure that we had enough money to pay the bills and take care of all necessary expenses, including purchasing baby supplies. After she gave birth, my wife insisted on staying home to nurse the baby for 6 months before returning to work. Although this meant more responsibility for me, I agreed because I loved my wife and our child and wanted to support her during this challenging time. I sacrificed a great deal, believing I was making life easier for her, but in reality, I was only setting myself up for disappointment. Many people say that when their spouses cheat, there are always signs, but even as I share my story, I am still shocked that my wife could betray me so blatantly. I hold some responsibility for not being more vigilant, but I trusted her implicitly and never suspected she would deceive me. The pain was exacerbated when, after 4 years of marriage, I discovered she had been unfaithful since our first year together. The day I found out, I accidentally came across some intimate voicemails on our home phone line. Listening to them shattered me completely. I was so broken that I couldn't even stand up from where I was sitting. Initially, I thought the messages were work-related since they dated back a while. However, upon recognizing her voice and the voice of our neighbor, a pastor who was known for his religious sermons and making others feel guilty for their sins, I realized the gravity of the situation. The most shocking part was that they frequently mentioned our son's name in their conversations, leading me to suspect that I wasn't his biological father. My son was almost 3 years old at that point, and the thought that I might not be his father was unbearable. Driven by these suspicions, I conducted a secret paternity test that same week. When the results came back, confirming that I was not his biological father, I was devastated. It felt like living in a nightmare from which I couldn't awaken. My attitude towards my wife changed completely. I was like a ticking time bomb, ready to explode. I wanted to confront her, evict her, and remove her and our baby from our home. However, I devised a more strategic plan, one that would publicly shame her and bring her infidelity into the spotlight. For days after receiving the paternity test results, I fabricated a story about being promoted at work. Bianca was thrilled, and to celebrate, I suggested throwing a small party, inviting our close neighbors, her parents, and my own parents to join us. She agreed, and we made the necessary arrangements. I personally invited our neighbors, including her affair partner and his wife with their daughter, to ensure his presence. The night of the party, as everyone arrived, including her affair partner with his family, I asked the DJ to switch the music to my chosen song, paying him extra to ensure it would play regardless of the guests' reactions. My selected song was a compilation of all the voicemails between my wife and our neighbor. As the audio played, no one immediately understood what was happening until Bianca recognized her own voice and the neighbor's voice through their respective apps. Her wife also recognized her husband's voice, causing confusion and chaos. Bianca's wife was overcome with disbelief and fell to the ground as people rushed to help her. Simultaneously, Bianca fell to her knees, attempting to explain herself by saying that her neighbor had come to preach to her on a specific day, leading to her unexpected pregnancy with his child. She claimed that the only option was to blame me, her husband, to avoid hurting my feelings. However, as time went on, she and her neighbor grew closer and eventually fell in love. Her neighbor wanted to be involved in their son's life, so she told him she would reveal his paternity when their son turned 18. Hearing this revelation broke me further, and people began to openly condemn her, labeling her as cruel and deceitful. Her parents left in shame, and I had no choice but to expel her and our son from the house. It's heartbreaking that she could betray me in such a profound way after all the sacrifices and love I had invested in our marriage. Ironically, I had listened to numerous stories about mismatched paternity results on this channel, but I never imagined it would happen to me. Despite all the trust one had placed in her, our marriage ended in betrayal and deception. We eventually divorced, but before that, she endured harassment from our neighbors. On a few occasions, she came begging for another chance, but my female neighbors quickly shielded their children from her, treating her as if she were a monster hiding in plain sight. Her neighbor, the pastor, faced his own consequences at his church when members learned about his infidelity and his son's true paternity. He too moved out of the neighborhood, unable to withstand the shame and disappointment from the very community he used to preach to. It's been nearly a year since these events unfolded, and I am still in the process of healing. I advise all fathers, especially those expecting, to consider conducting a paternity test at birth or even before, if there are any doubts. This is the most excruciating heartbreak I have ever endured, and I hope to fully recover from it. As for relationships, I doubt I will enter one anytime soon. Instead, I plan to focus on myself, my career, and perhaps start a YouTube channel that I have always dreamed of creating.